What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. Happy to have you guys here. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you guys out there. Or if you're watching this on like February 2nd, Happy February 2nd. I hope everything's going really well for you. 2023 was kind of a meh year. It wasn't, terribly bad, as a lot of folks on the internet kind of made it out to be. I don't know if that was a lot just to get clicks or whatever, but a lot of folks made 2023 out to be this kind of disaster. But we weren't really, just like killing it and making money hand over fist like we were in 2021. And I think for us, we are going to be down a little bit on the gross revenue side, but I think we're going to be actually ahead in the net revenue side, because we've had a lot less expenses this year, a lot less unexpected expenses than we did in previous years. And as soon as I get all those numbers done and everything wrapped up for 2023, I will do a video that compares 2022 to 2023. So be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss that and see how that revenue ended up being. And if you like this kind of stuff, hit the like button so it helps this video out. But in 2023, we had a lot of things that contributed very negatively towards the Airbnb business, and really to any non-essential thing. Like if you're a family out there, you're thinking about, we need to buy groceries, we need to buy gas, we might need a new car. Traveling may not have been at the top of people's list, and I think a lot of those things are going to change in a big way for 2024, or at least get better incrementally. And so I think 2024 is going to be a much better year than 2023 was. At least I hope it does. Nothing comes out of left field in 2024 to kind of screw everything up. In 2023, we had a lot of contributing factors to things that limited us both on the guest side as far as getting bookings, having rates as high as we want them, and then there was things on the investor side, on the property side, that I think went against us, that I don't know if a lot of folks really thought about when they were, watching these videos. But on the guest side, we are looking at basically four things that I think really contributed to the kind of slowdown in the Airbnb VRBO market. Even though overall the STR industry was up year over year, the rate of increase as far as demand had definitely slowed. The first one is easy. It's inflation. We have been dealing with inflation since essentially the COVID times kicked off, and we had a little lull there, and then it went nuts. That really needs no explanation. People can't afford as much with their money. Food's going up, housing, rent, gasoline, all the things that you need on an everyday basis are going up, and people's wages don't catch up with the rate of inflation until several years later, if they ever catch up at all. So then they didn't have a lot of extra money to go traveling to our Smokies cabins or your beach cabins or wherever you guys have places to rent. Gas prices were up, and that goes along with inflation, but these places that, like, for example, Smokies markets, the Destin market, the Gulf Coast markets, a lot of these are driving destinations. And so when gas prices go up, people feel like they can't go on vacation. And even if it really isn't that big of a factor overall in their costs, it just has an outsized effect on people's minds as far as what they can afford. And so I think that really kept a damper on people traveling. Interest rates were up, and again, that's another thing that I believe has an outsized effect. People hear that on the news, people hear the interest rates are increasing. We obviously don't have any money. There is also real life implications for that, where if you're taking a mortgage, you're buying a home, now your house payment is larger, so you can't afford to take a vacation. Your credit card interest rates, if you're putting your vacation on your credit card, are higher, and now your credit card payments are higher, or they're just higher from the balance that they had. Interest rates are just going to make it so that less people have the money to go and travel and do other things that aren't just essential things like gas, food, etc. And then there was a narrative that international travel had really picked up since the COVID-19 lockdowns of 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm not sure if there's any truth to that, but if that is the case, then if you are in the United States, international travel will be anywhere not in the United States. And so if you have places in the United States, you would have been negatively affected by that. Now, on the property side, if you were an investor, we saw interest rates go to the moon, essentially, compared to what they were in 2019, 2020, 2022. Now, when we got these interest rates coming up, for the most part, they have only been above average rates historically for a couple of years. Now, average interest rate on a mortgage is 4 to 6%, let's say, and we have only been above that for maybe 1 year. But that really raised the prices of these properties, and the prices of all properties, if you're an investor or a home buyer, whatever it is. And these prices have remained stubbornly high. And so with that, the affordability for purchasing new investment property has really been kind of hampered. And all throughout 2023, that has sort of been the theme, is that a lot of these places were not making sense as far as a cash flow model goes, with the decrease in the revenue and the increase in the mortgage payments and everything else that goes along with that, and the inflation, the utility prices, cleaning fees are going up. Everything inflates when inflation happens. I think in 2024, a lot of these issues are going to ease somewhat. And what I want you guys to know first off is that I'm not a realtor. I'm not a banker, a mortgage broker, a financial advisor. I am just a guy here on the internet that has Airbnb properties telling you what I think and what I'm doing. And so, take that with a grain of salt. And I really don't have a dog in the fight if these things happen or not, because I already have properties and they're low interest rates and I get great rates with them. But on the guest side, we are going to see inflation easing. And this has been the narrative in the last half of 2023. These interest rates that the Fed has set, they seem to be working, combating inflation, at least officially. And what that's going to mean is that guests are going to have more money in their pocket because they're not going to be paying more and more over time for products and services, at least in an outsized manner. We're not seeing, 3, 4, 5, 6%, 9% inflation. We're now seeing 3 to down to the Fed's 2% target rate. Along with that, folks that are getting raises based on the rates of inflation, usually they're looking back to see what those were, and then they're getting those raises. And if they are getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% raises, depending on what industry you're in, you may be getting even larger than that. People are going to have more money in their pockets. The inflation rate is going to be lower, and so that's going to leave folks with more money to spend on the things that they want to do, be it hobbies or whatever, or most importantly, going to your vacation rentals and renting those places and putting some of that money into your pocket. Along with inflation, gas prices have trended lower. Gas and diesel both are trending lower. And, I don't want to get political on this channel, but it is an election year in 2024. And low gas prices always sell well at the polls. And like I said earlier, gas prices sort of have an outsized influence on how people think that they can travel, how much, they think it's going to cost. And so lower gas prices are going to definitely increase business to these drivable locations like the Smokies, like the Florida Gulf Coast, and a lot of places that are very short-term rental friendly areas. Interest rates coming down, again, another outsized factor. People are going to have more money in their pockets. Their credit card interest rates might be lower. People might be able to refinance their mortgages. They have lower mortgage payments. Everything that they pay interest on, car loans and all that, are going to cost less. It's going to put more money in their pocket, and they're just going to feel like they have more money, whether they do or not, because the news and all the things that people watch are going to be saying that interest rates are going down. Everything is, back to awesome again. The stock market's going up as a result of interest rates coming down. And so people will look at their 401ks, things will be going up, and they'll say, I now have the money to travel. Let's go ahead and do that. And to wrap in travel with that international travel thing, if that was a factor in 2023, I think that it will be less of a factor in 2024. Because for one, it's out of people's systems. They were cooped up from the COVID-19 pandemic. They can finally go, they've done their traveling internationally. They probably found out that it was not only expensive, but also time consuming. A lot of folks out there don't have more than 2, 3, or maybe even 4 weeks of vacation. There's very few folks that have more than 4 weeks of vacation. Things are still expensive. And so to travel internationally for the average person that's coming to the Smokies or Destin or anywhere else, the Florida, Alabama, Gulf Coast, I think that it will be much more likely that instead of going to Mexico or Paris or London, if people even, regular folks do that, I know I don't, and I think I'm kind of a regular folks, they might spend more of their money in these local destinations that you can drive to in 4 to 8 hours that are much less expensive, that you don't have to wait in the airport, you don't have to book flights, you don't have to do passports, you don't have to deal with the TSA, you just drive there and you check in. And so those are the 4 biggest things that I think are going to affect consumers to be able to have the confidence and actually have the money and time to drive to your place and rent it. And I think that's why 2024 in that category is going to be way better than 2023. On the property acquisition side, I think we are going to see one major change, and that's going to have some, a couple of effects with just that one major change. And it's not probably going to come as a surprise to any of you out there who are real estate investors who are thinking about it, is that the interest rates should come down. They are already coming down. They're off about 0.75% to 1% from what they were at their peaks, and the Fed has signaled 3 rate cuts in 2024. Now, that's not locked in by any means. They could cut more, they could cut less, and the amount that they cut could be, changed at any given time. Nothing is set in stone, and Fed rate cuts do not directly affect mortgage rates, but in general, mortgage rates go the way that the Fed is going over a period of time. And so for a very short period of time, I think that these rate cuts in these this mortgage rate decline will drastically increase affordability and cash flow for a very short period of time. Because in my opinion, as these interest rates come down, there is going to be a period of time, somewhere between like 3 and 6 months, where the rates are coming down, things are becoming more affordable, and the sellers really haven't picked up on this yet. In that time period, you are going to be able to snag relative deals. It's not going to be like, you're not going to be picking up 2-bedroom cabins in Gatlinburg for $250,000. We're talking about things are going to stay at like $499 to $600 for a 2-bedroom. And so you might be able to pick something up at a 6% rate instead of a 9% rate like we were seeing before. The prices have remained stubbornly high because people don't need to sell. I don't see the prices coming down anymore. And as a matter of fact, once these sellers grasp onto the fact that interest rates are lower, the affordability of these things is much better than it was, this is all relative, so much better than, 6 to 12 months beforehand, they're going to start ratcheting up prices as those interest rates come down. I think that's going to happen to investment properties. I think that that's going to happen to just regular homes, from starter homes all the way up to luxury homes. And I think that you are going to have a very narrow window to strike if you want to acquire a property for the first time. But the upside to this is that if you did purchase a property and you purchased it at the top of the market, and you purchased it when interest rates were super high, or even if it wasn't the top of the market, even if it was on the slight downhill slide that we have seen, and your interest rate is 7, 8, 9%, you are going to have an opportunity to refinance that, to get a lower interest rate, to increase your cash flow. If you purchased when it was at 9% and you purchased a cabin that was $400,000 or $500,000, you put some stuff into it, and now it reappraises at $600,000, you may be able to drop that PMI as well. And so this is a wonderful opportunity I see in the next year to refinance those loans that were in the 7, 8, 9%. I don't know if we're going to see investment loans under 6. I'd love it because we have one at 6, and I'd love to refinance that into a lower rate. But I don't necessarily think that we're going to see that in 2024. Maybe in 2025 if nothing crazy happens. Did I miss anything? If I did, if you have a difference of opinion or you think that there's some other factor that is going to help folks out, leave that down in the comments. I'd appreciate if you like this video for the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, so you can learn all about how to run a short-term rental business, how you can see all the trials and tribulations of running an Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental business, and how we do it from afar. All the types of cabins that we buy in the Smoky Mountains market. There'll be playlists up here that you guys can click on, see all that stuff. I appreciate you watching today, and I will see you on the next one in 2024.